My name is Terri Germinaro. I'm the ambulance chief here at Summit Fire Department in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. I'm also an EMT at Elite in Hermitage. I've been an EMT for going on 14 years now. I worked with Meadville Ambulance. I've run with a couple other departments here in the county, Connieville and Linesville. For the most part, for the past 15 years, I've always volunteered somewhere. Growing up, my mom was a nurse in the ER, so we pretty much lived in the ER after school. So I always saw that her need for and her ability to serve others. So that interested me. Originally, I wanted to be a nurse, but when I moved over to Pennsylvania, Helen Allen from Springboro actually was a good influence, and a couple people from Connieville, Jerry from Connieville, influenced me into becoming an EMT, and that's how I got started. I got my EMT in 2005, and I started running with Connieville. From there, I started working with Meadville Ambulance, and I was there off and on for approximately 10, 11 years. And then 2017, I started working in Hermitage for Elite as an EMT. I work for Elite Ambulance. I'm an EMT. We run 911 calls. We also do transports. Elite's also a part of the CERT team, and they work with FEMA. FEMA can deploy us for natural disasters within the United States. Last year we were deployed twice. We were deployed for Florence in South Carolina, and then we were deployed in Florida when that hurricane hit. I went to Darlington, South Carolina for deployment. I was there almost 2 weeks. Our deployment consisted of more logistics because at that time, the County Office of Emergency Services didn't want to deploy the government any more than they had to. When the crew went down to Florida, they were actually doing searches and transports. There was heavier damage. South Carolina was more water damage. Florida was more structural damage and loss of life. That actually, it's definitely a life-changing experience to get deployed for that. April of last year, I lost my daughter, and I was working and heard the call dispatched. At that moment, I actually stepped aside and took some time off to think, and maybe I didn't want to do this anymore. Through the help of my coworkers and this fire department, I was able to get through that, and I decided to go back and try it to see if I could do it. My first shift back, I decided to take the long way home and came up on an accident on 322 that I was one of the first people on the scene. It was a really bad accident. People were entrapped. There was definitely going to be an extended extrication time. As soon as I got on the scene, my thought was like, really? This is it? This is what I'm going to have to do? Okay, fine. Got out of the car, held the mother's hand, checked for C-spine, held the son's hand, explained to them what they were doing when they were cutting the car apart, and actually rode in with the mother to the hospital. At that point, I realized you make a difference. You're somebody's calm in the storm. You're somebody who they can hold on to, especially when they have nobody else there, or they have other people in the car or family members there they know are hurt and they can't do anything about it. Those are the moments. You don't need the pat on the back. You don't need the big money. You don't need the thank you. Just know that you made a difference is enough. It's definitely life-changing. I'm not going to lie. You see things that you realize how horrible people can be in this world when you see things like child abuse. You see all types of things. You see childbirth. You see death. Sometimes you question it, and other times you realize, well, if you weren't there, who would be? Unfortunately, there's a lot of places that don't have the volunteers anymore. There's a lot of, the paid services are trying to do their best to get to somebody as soon as they can. I've always lived in the thought that it's somebody's grandmother, it's somebody's child, it's somebody's brother, it's somebody's sister, it's somebody's dad. I know that when I needed people to be here for me, when I had my problems, when I lost my daughter, they were here. I always, what if there was no volunteers? What if you didn't go out there, and because you didn't go out there, somebody didn't make it, or the circumstances were way different? I just always live in the fact that I got to do what I got to do to help, to try to make a difference.